p.m. to 9:30 a.m.
on the morning drive.
103.5 economies.
Good morning and welcome to Ebona, the 103 today, the 30th day of November 2023. Today is Thursday and the time is a minute past the hour of 7. It's time for newspaper headlines on Ebona, the 103.5 FM. This morning, we're going to take you through the news making the headlines on Nigerian newspapers. But before we do that, let's go for a short break. When we come back, we'll continue on the stories making the headlines. Please stay with us.
Do you know that you have the right to quality broadcasting? The National Broadcasting Commission says any person, group of persons, or organization aggrieved by the content of a broadcast or the conduct of a broadcast station may lodge a complaint to the station and all right to the Director General, National Broadcasting Commission, number 20, Ibrahim Taiwo Street, Asokoro, Abuja, or send a mail via info@nbc.gov.ng. Please ensure that the complaint includes name of the broadcast station, title of the program, date and time of broadcast, and essence of the complaint. Also, remember to include your name, address, telephone number, email, and append your signature. Note that a complaint must reach the NBC within 14 days of the queried broadcast. NBC, your right to quality broadcasting.
You're welcome back to newspaper headlines on Ebona, the 103.5 FM. This morning, we are going to take you through the news making the headlines on the Guardian newspaper, Leadership, Vanguard, Punch, The Sun, Daily Post, The Nation, This Day, and if time permits, we're also going to take a look at the Nigerian Tribune. Remember that you can become part of the conversation by sending your reactions via SMS or WhatsApp messages on 080-96661035. You can equally join us on Facebook as we're live at Ebona, the 103.5 FM. Drop your comment on the comment section of the live video. You can equally stream us online via mixlr.com/gistfm. I am Martin. Let's get started with the Guardian newspaper this morning. COP28. Again, Nigeria orders negotiate rights to just transition. Knox applause as Tinubu presents 27.5 trillion naira budget of the renewed hope. Fulfill your stance on federalism. Afenifere tells Tinubu more teaching hospitals risk shutdown over exodus of medical professionals. While we lifted 1.219 billion naira for Fayose's governorship by Obani, Human Rights Writers Association forced Tinubu's reconstitution of NMPC board. 80% of illegal structures demolished in Lagos owned by Yoruba, says group. Provide 535.8 million naira school feeding details, court orders minister. Headers farmers clash, claims over 425 billion naira property. Mba hails Tinubu's policies, targets completing international wing of Enugu Airport. JAMB fixes dates for 2024 UTME registration examination. Ayedatiwa presides over Ondo SEC meeting today. 14% Nigerian women experience physical violence. Don't create problems. For Kogi, Commissioner of Police warns politicians. Dan Juma reiterates commitment to healthcare delivery. Oyo promises PHCs upgrade to 24 hours centers. Diri presents 480.9 billion naira 2024 budget to Bayelsa Assembly. Oko Community dedicates center to Ekweme. Old, new naira notes valid till further notice. Supreme Court rules. Adeleke approves 15,000 naira wage award for civil servants, 10,000 naira for pensioners. Kaduna to castrate rapists, says Commissioner. Federal government calls for deployment of innovative solutions to tackle high TB burden. HYPREP to mitigate climate change in Niger Delta with mangroves. Tetra Pak mobilizes schools for sustainable packaging. Federal government to unveil blueprint for young Nigerians. Your victory came with renewed tax. Para governor tells APC lawmakers. Nasarawa women protesters seek justice for 2 Lafia wards. Nasarawa women protesters seek justice for 2 Lafia wards. Grace School student becomes one-day reps member. Federal government trains, graduates 110 female artisans. Royal Society of Canada inducts Afolabi. Edo ERA partner to revolutionize emergency response. Osoba to share Folu Olamiti's book launch today. INEC presents certificate of return to Lagos Assembly member-elect. General leader of C&S movement, Korode, passes at 73. Illicit drug consumption plagues Taraba, says National Drug Law Enforcement Agency. Ex-Enugu Council boss denies arson allegation. 2024 budget. Reps under Abbas will enjoy smooth relationship with executive arm, says Abase. Human Rights Writers Association force reconstitution of NMPC board amid court verdict. Group inaugurates team to enforce VAP law in Imo. Reps, Deputy Speaker, Carlo decry mass exodus of health workers. NAPTIP deepens stakeholders' collaboration on SGBV advocacy. Roche, diabetes care. Others screen 6,000 Nigerians for diabetes, promote early diagnosis. Education Minister calls for judicious use of $1.2 billion World Bank loan for adolescent girls' education. Ndume appeals to Tinubu ECOWAS leaders to TME form examination dates. Osun government approves monthly fund palliatives for workers, pensioners. Zamfara governor visits community protection gas training camp, vows to end banditry. APC condemns SDP attempt to attack INEC office in Lokoja. Climate change. House of Reps praises Onuigbo's nomination as global leader. Customs confiscates 61 SUVs with fake government plate numbers. Tinubu prioritize security, job creation, poverty reduction in 27.5 trillion naira budget for 2024. Foundation empowers women entrepreneurs in Lagos. Supreme Court okays indefinite use of old, new banknotes. World AIDS Day is not over. AHF Nigeria wants with commemorative work. Kogi, security agencies disperse SDP protesters at INEC barricade office. Appeal court affirms Kefas Abu as Taraba governor. FCC blames poor distribution of projects on inadequate data. Auditor General charges African countries on need to audit impact of climate change. AFC presents draft budget before ECOWAS Parliament consideration. Flour Millers Association provides 50 million naira grant to boost wheat production. Tinubu seeks validation for $8.6 billion, 100 million pounds loans approved by Buhari government. Ogun government to distribute 5,000 C of O Friday. DEXA partners to enhance road safety in Gombe. That's the much we can take from the Guardian newspaper this morning. And from the Guardian newspaper, we'll flip over to Leadership newspaper. 2024 UTME JAMB begins sales of form January. Human Rights Writers Association urges rule of law on Ararume's suspension. Bamidele Oye others urge strong institutions to advance Nigeria. Gunmen kill Governor Abiodu's accounting officer. Hajj 2024 NACON tax FAAN on provision of facilities. Foundation asks governors to review Child Rights Act. MFLE 45 CBN contracts didn't go through tender. Witness Bamidele Oye others urge strong institutions to advance Nigeria. Gunmen kill governor. We've taken this. Still on the stories making the headlines on the Leadership newspaper this morning. Nigeria committed to tackling terrorism. Minister assures Interpol. Philanthropist. Others get Euro Knowledge Awards in London. INEC condemns siege on Kogi headquarters. Israel rejects calls for ceasefire before United Nations Security Council. Kanu governorship verdict. NMPP takes protest to United Nations. ECOWAS 2024 budget. Security, jobs, poverty reduction tops priorities. Ondo, how Tinubu stopped doctrine of necessity plot. Ondo, how Tinubu stopped doctrine of necessity plot. Northern elders want 13% derivation for oil host communities. 36 died, 52 injured in Kwara. Kebbi auto crashes. Court remands 3 suspects over murder of Senator Yayi's aide. 11 finalists emerge for WSAIR. Sevilla loses to PFZ, crash out of Champions League. Fernandes bemoans lack of control after Man United 3-3 draw with Galatasaray. Fernandes bemoans lack of control after Man United 3-3 draw with Galatasaray. Honorable OK Ben hails Ajayi's reappointment into NMPCL board. Robbers kill Ogun governor's accounting officer, cut away undisclosed sum. Gridiron dreams. Opportunities for Nigerian students in American football. Bandits abduct new couple. Imam, wife, children in Kaduna. Akwa Ibom man backs life imprisonment for raping 2 girls. Nigerian Air Force airstrikes destroy illegal refining sites, boats in rivers. Imo Guba election, Labour Party candidate vows to get justice in court. States in Niger Delta owe Niger Delta Development Commission 2 trillion naira. Managing Director. Ogun Customs intercept 975 rounds concealed in rice bags. Governor Lawal visits community gas training camp, vows to end banditry in Zamfara. Nigeria committed to tackling crime, terrorism. Minister assures Interpol. Group falls Uzodema's re-election as Imo governor. Reappointment. Stop issuing goodwill messages. Kiari urges stakeholders. NUPRC intervenes in Chevron, host communities' disagreement over trust fund name, composition. Oborowore presents 2024 appropriation bill of 714.4 billion naira to Delta Assembly. Security agencies disperse SDP protesters at INEC office in Kogi barricade facility. The Delboro, Lagos. Sanwo-Olu hails businessman Osochukwu as Nigerian role model. Ekiti commissioner sues for peace as local government election holds Saturday. Ondo group falls Tinubu's peace deal on Ayedatiwa. Tinubu Shetima, Nigeria achieved what took America 185 years. Akpabio. Vice President Shetima Ganduje, governors, others present as Tinubu presents 2024 budget of renewed hope to National Assembly. Subsidy removal, urging civil servants to receive 15,000 naira monthly, pensioners 10,000 naira. MPA reassures oil industry of adequate vessel pilotage service. Mohbad, Naira Marley, Sam Larry make first public appearance after release from custody. That's the much we can take from the Leadership newspaper this morning. And from the Leadership newspaper, we'll flip over to Vanguard newspaper. Robbers kill Ogun government official, cut away money. Military beef up security at INEC office in Lokoja following siege by mob. Military beef up security at INEC office in Lokoja following siege by mob. Fish out killers of Oyekami, Abiodun other security agents. Man United have to be smarter in Champions League, says Fernandez. Iduroko Customs bus ammunition concealed in low rise. Oti appoints new head of service. Still on the stories making the headlines on the Vanguard newspaper this morning. 2024 budget. I promise you, recovery is here. Tinubu assures Nigerians. Tinubu's 2024 budget deficit. Tinubu's 2024 budget deceitful, has no mechanism for economic recovery. PDP. 2024 budget. PDP condemns rendition of Tinubu's campaign tune at National Assembly. Insecurity. Zamfara trains for 200 for community protection. Breathless Pope delegates reading at flu persists. Breathless Pope delegates reading as flu persists. Why I won't challenge my loss in court, Dino Melaye. President Tinubu departs Abuja for COP28 climate summit in Dubai. NMPP, Kano police disagree over killing of teenager. Demolition not targeted at any group in Lagos, Commissioner. Why more men commit suicide in Africa? Japa reps raise alarm as LUTH shuts down 5 wards over doctor's shortage. Ogun. Mother in police net for alleged killing her newborn baby. And that's the much we can take from the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Still on the stories making the headlines on Nigerian newspapers this morning, from the Vanguard newspaper, we'll flip over to the Punch newspaper. Ex-U.S. President George Bush mourns Kissigan. 50 foreigners, others arrested for job racketeering. Sokoto governor receives 51 abductees rescued by military. Robbers kill Ogun finance director in bullion van ambush. 13 die in Kazakhstan's hostel fire. 13 die in Kazakhstan's hotel fire. Ex-U.S. Secretary of State Henry Kissinger dies at 100. Federal Capital Territory Authority. Federal Capital Territory Authority defends 61 billion naira supplementary budget, laments 800 court cases. Lagos enlists Arewa's help to end street begging. NDA rejects 29,559 applicants, matriculates 441. Federal government orders Chevron to end dispute with host communities. Niger Delta Development Commission laments unpaid 2 trillion naira allocation. Ayedatiwa returns to Ondo, heads ESCO meeting today. Still on the stories making the headlines on the Punch newspaper this morning. Politicians, bane of traditional institutions in Southeast, Monarch. Oti commends pace of work on Enugu-Port Harcourt Expressway. Opposition's support. APC senatorial aspirant backs Mwifuru. We inherited vandalized deplorable government house, Abia. Gale of defections threatens Ebonyi PDP's survival. Pollution. Reps vow to stop oil firms' divestment. Pollution. Reps vows to stop oil firms' divestment. Federal hospital CEOs diverting drug funds, PSN alleges. Enugu community youths beg government for development. Lagos government plans to sanitize real estate sector. Kano's release, insecurity top agenda at 4th Ofala Festival. Imo distances party from election material inspection. Supreme Court backs CBN, cancels old Naira deadline. Plateau unveils a 600-man security outfit. Police arrest illegal firearm makers in Benue. Cross River plans 4,000 capacity park for articulated vehicles. Anambra community protests estimated electricity bill, insists on prepaid meters. Customs uncover 975 ammunition rounds hidden in rice. Some cultural practices fueling illegal migration. NAPTIP. Prioritizing your well-being. Lawmaker tells constituents. Prioritize your well-being. Lawmaker tells constituents. Navy intercepts 187 bags of cannabis in Lagos. That's the much we can take from the Punch newspaper this morning. And from the Punch newspaper, we'll flip over to the Sun newspaper. National Assembly leadership expresses worry over high debt burden. It will plunge country into more economic depression, hopelessness, PDP. Sun Heaven Hotels resort for commissioning tomorrow. Sun Heaven Hotels resort for commissioning tomorrow. Lockdown. Court orders minister to provide details of 535.8 million naira on school feeding. Mba in Aso Rock rates federal government's economic policies high on FDI. Federal government, private sector partner to bridge $29 million family planning gap. Gideon Osi backs Humanitarian of the Year award. 16 days of activism. European Union contributes 11 billion naira in support of sexual assault referral centers in Nigeria. 200,000 Nigerians die from food poisoning, says NESG. NMPCL versus Ararume. Respects court order. Human Rights Writers Association tells Tinubu. Rema cancels all performances for the year 2023 over health challenges. Chidoka delivers Coal City Varsity's median convocation lecture. Governor Lawa visits community protection gas training camp, vows to end banditry in Zamfara. Food security. Federal government targets 31 million metric tons of grains in 2024. Obaru consultants eulogize Honorable Afam Ogene over free medical service. Private security operators save Nigeria $43.2 million daily from oil theft. Tantita. Jubilation over appointment of Professor Omenuga as Ujuku Varsity Vice Chancellor. 800 litigations. Wike hires senior advocates to defend FCT. Insecurity. Benue government train hunters for peacekeeping. Northern Elders Forum appoints new spokesman. Niger Delta stakeholders fought calls for increased budget to amnesty contractors. Court remands couple over 500 million naira fraud. Olokola Deep Sea Port, Ogun, to sign memorandum of understanding with OPS. The represents 480.99 billion naira 2024 budget proposal to Assembly. Umai urges surveyors to guard a profession against quacks. 24-hour Port Operations, ANLCA, declares support for Tinkan Customs night scanning of containers. Federal government inaugurates steering committee to improve adolescent girls' education. January to December budget cycle. Tinubu National Assembly may falter. NUC begins accreditation process for 2 Bingham varsity courses. Delta budget 714.4 billion naira for 2024. Oil theft. Nigerian Air Force jet destroys more illegal refining sites, boost in Rivers. Nasarawa APC chairman slams PDP's alleged divisive tactics, appeals for peace. Imo, Oyetola holds bilateral talks with Saudi Arabia, Bangladesh, Brazil, Jamaica. IMO, Oyetola holds bilateral talks with Saudi Arabia, Bangladesh, Brazil, Jamaica. I won't challenge election results at tribunal. Dino Melaye. That's the much we can take from the Sun newspaper this morning. Still on the stories making the headlines on Nigerian newspapers this morning from the Sun newspaper, we'll flip over to the Daily Post newspaper. Wike versus Fubara, top list of godfathers, godsons who fought supremacy battle. Alleged money laundering. We lifted 1.219 billion naira to fire sale for 2014 election of Banikoro. Former Benue Commissioner Chinwu Othman passes away at 91. Makinde appoints more aides in Oyo. Why 2024 budget can be implemented? Ex-Benue Governor Suswan. Bench warrant. Abia panel knocks police for demanding mobilization fee. MLCN inducts 46 newly qualified lab scientists for KWASU, Kwara State University. Inspector General of Police approves posting of police public relations officers. FCT, Wike presents 61.5 billion naira 2023 supplementary budget to National Assembly. Nigerian Security Civil Defense Corps personnel allegedly open fire on students in Abuja. Oborowere presents 2024 appropriation bill of 714.4 billion naira to Delta Assembly. Federal Capital Territory Administration demolishes alleged vehicle peppers forgery hub in Mabushi. That's the much we can take from the Daily Post newspaper this morning. And from the Daily Post newspaper, we'll flip over to the Nation newspaper. Ayedatiwa to preside over Ondo ESCO meeting Thursday. Federal government unveils sectoral allocations in 2024 budget. Momentous occasion as Tinubu signs first budget. Defense, education, health top Tinubu's 27.5 trillion naira budget. Old, new naira notes remain legal tender indefinitely. Inspector General billion dollars economic damage, says MBS. Court to Humanitarian Affairs Minister explains a 535.8 million naira school feeding spending. Aviation units in blame. Game over flight diversion to Asaba. Aviation units in blame game over flight diversion to Asaba. Nigerians to depart for 2024 Hajj through 16 airports. Still on the stories making the headlines on the Nation newspaper. Niger Delta Development Commission begin being owed over 2 trillion naira, says MD Obuku. You are listening to newspaper headlines on Ebona at the 103.5 FM. We will now go for a short break. When we come back, We'll continue on the stories making the headlines on the Nation newspaper. Please stay with us.
Ogamaka Sochuma, one of Okuzu. Special guest of honor, Chief Tochukwu Paul Ezodo. Oza Kupele Kutego, one of Okuzu. Patron of the club, Chief Dr. Ogwejofo Udago Ezedibia Okuzu. Matron of the club, Mrs. Ali Ogechukwu. Chief Dr. Chedemma Aduaka Okoye. Ozo Sinubi, one of Okuzu, aka Oriana Opeke. Ochezo Onyegworoya. Honorable Uchenna Okapo, Wiper, Omelora, Oyi na Omombara. MC of the day, Prince Onyeka Oreki Chakazum of Ebona, the 103.5 FM. Ogademe na Amabu Ozu Village, Okozu, Oyi Local Government Area, Anambra State. Na Sunday, 3rd December 2023, time about 12 noon. Mr. Nwafo Onyebuchi Hilary, aka Otimpu Jesus, Chairman Bilaka Nozia.
Love Bite Fruits and Beverages Limited Nnobi abịagokwa n'ọzọ. Nke agba bụ iji wee kene ndị niile na-azụ anyị afịa na imekwa ka steeti anyị dị ọcha. Ngwa chịkọta akwụkwọ nkechi achịcha ya bụ nylon wrappers nke eji wee kechie Love Bite bread mkpụrụ 50 pieces only. Ka anyị were ego dị puku naira 10,000 naira wee machie gị akpa. Ngwa achịta ya ngwa na-amachi gị akpa aka ọkụ. Chijere distributor ọbụla nọ gị nso maọbụ bịa n'onwe gị n'isi ụlọ ọrụ ndị Love Bite Fruits and Beverages Limited nke dị n'Imuru Village Nnobi. Ihe nrite nwa ga-amalite ụbọchị Fraịde abalị mbụ n'ọnwa dị n'Imuru Village Nnobi. Ihe nrite nwa ga-amalite ụbọchị Fraịde abalị wee kwụsịkwa ụbọchị Satọde n'abalị 23 n'ọnwa Disemba. Chai, ka ị na-achịta ka ị na-erite Love Bite bread. Rie ihe dị mma ma bụrụ onye dị mma.
Lord, I just wanna thank you.
Hooray! Youth Night and Papa's birthday celebration is here. Oge ewi ọ ga-adịbeghị oge maka na ndị ntorobịa ga-enye Jehova ihe ọ na-eri n'ozuzu oke. Ndị ụlọ ekpe Tabernacle of Praise Adoration Ministry dị n'Ogidi Ani Ukwu na-ewetara gị ihe omume akpọrọ Youth Night and Papa's birthday celebration nke isiokwu ya bụ Understanding Your Destiny. Ịghọta ihe bụ akara aka gị ọ ga-amalite n'abalị 29 nke ọnwa bụ Nọvemba wee ruo n'abalị 13 nke ọnwa bụ Nọvemba. Ọ ga na-amalite n'elekere 10 nke abalị n'ụbọchị ndị a niile kpọmkwem n'ogige ụlọ ekpere Tabernacle of Praise Adoration Ministry dị n'Ogidi Ani Ukwu. Ndị ga-anọ n'ihu ọmụma gụnyere Apostle Dr. John Oka, onye ga-ele ọbịa ma bụrụkwa onye ga-anọ n'ime oge ahụ wee merube emume ncheta ọmụmụ ya. Pastor Obinna James ga-esi Asaba wee bịa, onye ọbịa ga-ekwu okwu Chineke. Brother Christian Ewuna, youth leader, nakwazi Minister Ginika Nwachukwu, assistant youth leader, tinyekwazịara ndị ọzọ Chineke tere mmanụ. Gbaa mbọ bịa ka ị sonye na ya bụ ọgbakọ ihe omume ndị ntorobịa Youth Night and Papa's birthday celebration. Bịa ka ị chọpụta ihe bụ akara aka gị, ekwekwala ka akọrọ gị akọrọ. Jizọs bụ eze.
Mgbe maka this boy a na-agba egwu dada ịnyịnya nsogbu.
Ebona dị 103.5 FM. Nabagoa production. Police for vigilante. Now my business is mine now. When I will tell you AJ radio drama, Erico. Akoko intendally God come into your head. I'm on smile. AJ radio drama, Erico, Ghana Dialogue every Monday, 8 o'clock p.m. with a repeat broadcast on Saturday, 3 o'clock p.m. Now, Ebona 103.5 FM.
If you move and finish your business, yeah. niile nwa dị amụ ụbọchị m na-aga n'obodo ndị anụ akọ na ya na-erikọ n'anya nke ka dịkwu nke bụ na ana m ahụzikwu n'anya ma ọ bụ n'eziokwu
Ekwekwala ka akọlụ gị nke a kọọrọ gị.
A lot of people complain about not using their talents the way they want to. Utilize this opportunity today. Are you an actor, musician, dancer? Here is the opportunity you have been waiting. Register with Babuwa Production at everyone at the 103.5 FM today to make your God-given gift money-making venture using your God-given gift today. For more information, call 080-3916-7049. Don't miss out on this opportunity.
You're welcome back to Newspaper Headlines on Ebona, the 103.5 FM. Remember that you can become part of the conversation by sending your reactions via SMS or WhatsApp messages on 080961035. You can as well join us on Facebook as we're live at Ebona, the 103.5 FM. Drop your comment on the comment section of the live video. You can equally stream us online via mixlr.com/gistfm. We are on newspaper. Niger Delta Development Commission being owed over 2 trillion naira, says Managing Director Obuku. Federal government, IFAD, to engage 91,000 households in food production. Olojede for burial tomorrow. Federal government, US hold talks on funding mining. Nigerian Defense Academy matriculates 441 cadets for 75th regular course. Tide, military to man major routes, hotspots, says Army. JAMB releases timetable for 2024 UTME. IYN congratulates Tompulu on honorary doctorate. Why Lagos Country Club stands out by President Diri seeks lawmakers' approval for 480.9 billion naira 2024 budget. That's the much we can take from the Nation newspaper this morning. And from the Nation newspaper, we'll flip over to Nigerian Tribune. Chief of Army Staff assures adequate security for Yuletide celebration. FCTA dismantles vehicle papers forgery hub in Mabushi. Be strategic in criticizing government. Kwara governor's aide charges media. Hajj 2024. Kaduna government sets up 8-man committee. Foundation for Partnership Initiatives in Niger Delta swells up Dame Awards with Niger Delta Development reporting. PAP Kuku urges Ndiomo to revive complete vocational centers in Niger Delta. Tinubu, Sultan, Akpabio orders to attend national prayer for Nigeria. FRC to unveil new code of corporate governance in Q1 2024. Ayedati was set to preside over Ondo ESCO meeting after 3 months. NUPRC weighs into Chevron, host communities dispute. Why Oshun is viable for investments. Adeleke's aid. Nigerian Air Force airstrikes destroy illegal refinery sites, boats in rivers. Nigeria Air Force airstrikes destroy illegal refinery sites, boats in rivers. How strategic partnership can scale clean energy infrastructure in Nigeria. Plateau Group canvasses support for Kanama as possible Lalong's replacement. Plateau Group canvasses support for Kanam as possible Lalong's replacement. And that's the much we can take from the Nigerian Tribune this morning. And from the Nigerian Tribune, we flip over to this day newspaper. National Assembly pledges speedy oversight of Tinubu's 27.5 trillion naira budget. Finance ministers defend the president's borrowing plan. NDIC to recover 400 billion naira debts owed failed banks after protest. NUPRC weighs into CNL, host oil communities, spat NPRCA after protest. Stop issuing goodwill messages on my reappointment. NMPC's Gary appeals. Dangiwa commits to upholding physical accountability in housing ministry. SGBV, United Nations calls for improved investment to curb violence against women. FRC to reintroduce corporate governance code for churches, mosques, others. Norway's Equinor sells stake in OML 128 Abami oil field to Nigeria's Chapal Energies. Sustainability is a scam. Bolt Nigeria awards 10 drivers with 25,000 euros seed fund. Urban Exchange appoints Pankero crypto ambassador. Foundation partners Segilola resources on medical outreach in Oshun. Fidelity Bank partners LCCI to address business challenges in Nigeria. That's the much we can take from this day newspaper this morning. And that will also mark the conclusion of all that we have for you on this particular edition of Newspaper Headlines on Ebonade. 103.5 FM. We will now flip over to our WhatsApp portal to bring your reactions. From our WhatsApp portal, message that is coming from Manly Uduogo, Comrade Manly Uduogo from Udumobosi, and he says it's unfortunate that our democratic rights have not been used in such a way as to ensure that the right persons are chosen to lead our country, Nigeria. The right persons are chosen to lead our country, Nigeria. Oftentimes, we confuse champions for leaders' prominence, for preeminence. Honestly, we must not confuse eloquence for honesty. Neither must we confuse silence for wisdom. We must not confuse good looks for efficiency, nor bravado for bravery. Not until we strictly adhere to these tenets, our journey to true nationhood will remain an utopian trip. May God help us. Comrade Manly Uduogo from Udumobosi. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now we have this message. This one is coming from the boss, and he says, from Okozu, and he says, Yoruba has shown us. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now we have this message. This one is coming from Ebuka Joshua Dawson. He's joining us from 33 on it, and he says, Kaduna government to castrate rapists is a welcome development. The law should equally go to child marriage. And he said, good judgment to Akwa Ibom man for raping 2 girls. He continued and says, I pray for safe return of family abducted by bandits. That Ogun State woman that killed her newborn should be sentenced to life imprisonment. My condolences to the family of Ogun Finance Minister as he was killed by armed robbers. Engineer Ebuka Joshua Dawson from 33 Onitsha. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We have this message that says, Igbos in Lagos, you remember the song sang by South African guy, in anywhere you go, remember the road that leads home. It's open secret that most of his Igbos with passion. If I will be opportune to suggest, I think it's high time you will come back home to establish their various businesses. It will also bring rapid development in many parts of Southeast. Valentine Edene from Mumbo, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now we have this message. This one is coming from Christian Ufondo from Onitsha, and he says, old Naira notes remains legal tender till further notice. This statement shows that most of our leaders take the citizens as nothing. They do whatever pleases them to do at any time they want. Many people have lost their lives during the artificial scarcity of old and new Naira notes. Now they come up with another plan. Well, we are watching them. Ufondo continues and says, Tinubu Chetima, Nigeria achieved what took America many years. My question is, what have these people mentioned above offered to this country, and what projects have we been envisaging that they will be able to carry out with these 4 dancing steps of theirs? We should learn how to praise the person who did well and stop praising the person who has not done anything, because this is one of the reason our leaders do not want to do anything for the citizens of Nigeria. When you praise a dull leader. He has no option than to relax. We are the brains behind our problems. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now we have this message. This one is coming from famous Christian and he's joining us from Ifite village, Aguluzi Igbo, and he says, I would advise Ashonu of Labour Party to accept the defeat and forge ahead. Going to court will be a waste of resources and time. Such efforts will be in futility. P2B's court saga is a case study. Congratulations to the former Commissioner for Education, Professor Kate Azuka Omenoa, on her appointment as the acting Vice Chancellor COOU. It's an appointment well deserved. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now we have this message. This one is coming from Macbeth Ogenetega from Asaba, and it says National Assembly leadership express worry over high debt burden is just a mere tale. Our government has already sold out our country. That generation to come won't be able to pay. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now we have this message. This one is coming from John Ume from Okozo, and he said, truly, Nigeria is fast becoming a hopeless country in the hands of Tinubu government. Any day that passes, we hear one ugly news or the other. Borrowing has become the name of this government. Yet at the end of the day, we will not point out any tangible thing they do with the trillions of naira they borrow. In trillions of naira they borrow. Is this Nigeria will continue to be? Keep on telling us these sufferings are temporal, making empty promises while the economy is sinking. It is in this excessive borrowing and sharing that will bring our manna from heaven. Under Buhari, heaven and earth we are promised to Nigerians, but they left the country worse than they met it. Now Tinubu has started from where he stopped, and then I ask, when will Nigeria be fixed and by who? Because I see no hope for a country that the only language it understands is a borrowing and using billions in servicing the debt, thereby crippling the economy of the country. John Ume from Okozo. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now we have this message. This one is coming from Waloto Patrick from Munteje, and he says, I think Afenifere is eminently correct this time around by telling Tinubu to fulfill his campaign promises on fiscal federalism. And in my opinion, I think that is the only recipe to the litany of both socio-political and economic problems staring Nigeria at the face. In a country like Nigeria, where you have different religions, several ethnic groups, and diverse cultural, traditional belief system, is only federalism, just like what is obtained in civilized countries, will save the situation. If Tinubu can do that as he promised during his electioneering campaigning, you will discover that each region will be striving to develop at its pace and also will be striving to surpass other regions, just as it was before the Civil War. I therefore encourage all well-meaning Nigerians to join the clarion call to restructure Nigeria for fiscal federalism. This is coming from Waloto Patrick from Monteja. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now we have this message coming from Pauline Wiz from Onitsha, and he says 2024 budget is a joke for rich, not for the poor. And he says leadership is in Nigeria is for the rich and not for the poor. May God help the poor people in Nigeria. Pauline Wiz from Onitsha. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We have this message. This one is coming from Comrade Ibudu from Abak, and he says, first of all, I'd like to appreciate everyone for this good work. I knew it. Naira redesign has now become a burden on Nigeria. Does it mean the central bank couldn't produce the recommended currency all this while? Nigeria was not like this before. I beg our leaders to bring us back from where they have taken us. We anticipate a progression and not retrogression. And he says, kudos to those policemen that arrested the firemen. Then we will be at peace again. Gino Melaya know what happens in Nigeria when a particular party is ruling. Their member is in office. He is wise. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now we have this message. This one is coming from Valentine and then from Mbo, and it says, in 3 arms of government in Nigeria, does it mean executive is above the law? Judiciary is also arm of the government, which they passed judgment on Nnamdi Kanu's case, discharged and acquitted, yet he is still in DSS custody. From Buhari dispensation to Tinubu's dispensation, if Mr. Tinubu wants us to concur his Supreme Court verdict to emerge as president of Nigeria is the name Supreme Court passed verdict for Nnamdi Kanu's case. Valentine and from Ubo, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now we have this message. It's coming from Ndubisi Okafor from Umo Ezomunachi, and he says, congratulations to Professor Kate Omenoa on her appointment as Vice Chancellor of Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu University. All right. Then he says, I pray for God grace and wisdom as she pilots the affairs. Okay, this is coming from Ndubisi Okafor from Umo Ezomunachi. Now we have this message. This one is coming from Obiora from Okuzo, and it says, Vice President Chetima said Nigeria has achieved what took America 350 years. To me, what Nigeria achieved, which America cannot achieve in 1 million years to come, is to have corrupt judiciary, corrupt police, corrupt army, corrupt DSS, corrupt INEC, corrupt senators, corrupt House of Representatives, corrupt governors, and he continued with corruption, NDLA, EFCC, Nigerian Labour Union, civil servants, civil service, corrupt NNPC, and he says lawlessness, killing of their citizens, bandits, herdsmen over borrowing, terrorism, punishment to their citizens, and many others. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Obiora from Okozo. We'll now flip over to our SMS portal to bring you more reactions. As we await for network on our SMS portal, let's flip over to our Facebook portal to bring your reactions this morning. And on our Facebook portal, we have a message coming from Dr. Mrs. Mma Olebara from Owerri, and she says, we don't need over bloated budget and borrowing to service debts than for capital projects. Why can't government look inwards and bring creativity into governance to bring new lease of life to the suffering masses? Let government cut down high cost of governance and frivolities. How can we plan to spend more than we can make? Given education, 7.9% is unacceptable. UNESCO prescribed 26%, and here we are, not up to half of it, hence toying with the education and glorious destinies of our children. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning, Dr. Mrs. Mma Olebara. And now we have a message on our Facebook portal. This one is coming from also Francis Namani, and it says, robbers kill Ogun finance director in bullion van ambush. This is so sad and very unfortunate. The appropriate authority should endeavor to fish out the perpetrators and bring them to book. Also, Francis Namani from Amagonze, thank you so much for joining us this morning. You also have this message that says, Minister promises to end insecurity soon after visiting troops in Borno. That's a good one. The present administration should prioritize security, looking at current security challenges bedeviling the nation. May God help us. Also, Francis Namane from Amagunze, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Also, Francis continued and said, thank God that Mr. President has presented 2024 budget to the National Assembly. However, what matters most in the budgetary process is its full implementation. Mr. President should endeavor to address holistically the ravaging insecurity, unemployment, and poverty in this country. May God help us. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now we flip over to our SMS portal. On our SMS portal, we have a message that says, I hope that the two political parties in Nigeria, which is INEC and APC, will be able to resolve the catastrophe that will erupt in Kano and other states. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. There's no name to this, and INEC is not a political party, but thank you so much for joining us today. Now we have this message that says, Ogugwa Kenneth Ukuchuku from Umuoba Anam, and okay, Umuoba Anam, Obalishi, Kingdom. And he says Nigeria huge budget will plunge Nigeria into hardship more because it didn't reflect economic growth and recovery. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning, Ogugwa Kenneth. Now we have this message from Aja from Odume, and he says, why should police open fire on students in Abuja? Thought their work is to protect the lives and properties of Nigerians. They need to be dissolved. Okay, I guess it is Nigerian Civil Defense Corps. But thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now we have this one that is saying the recent ongoing demolition of buildings and properties owned by Ndibo in Lagos is very barbaric and worrisome. This is coming from Wingate Ikechukwu Nwakeze from Okozo. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We also have this message that says, congratulations to Kate Omenua as she steps into Vice Chancellor once more. Bravo to her. Akede Amoke, Onyanabana Umunachi. And before then, we have this message coming from Akede that says, NEPA bill is too high, yes, but to go for prepaid meter is a big wahala because dribbling at EEDC is very alarming. If you come for prepaid meter because the business of some people there will end. Opening fire by Nigerian Civil Defense to students is very bad. This is coming from Akede Amoke, Onyanabana Umunachi. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now we have this message that says it's coming from Austin Ezewaka from Umweze Umunachi, and it says 2 months after the removal of oil subsidy, our president reveals that Nigeria has saved over 1 trillion naira since the removal took effect. Please, Mr. President, use some percentage of the saves to ameliorate the condition of poor citizens of this country who are the victims of the removal. God bless. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Austin Ezewaka. We have this message that is coming from Honorable Onyedika Osakwe, and he says, our dear president moves from one country to other without any impact shown for it as we are still operating in an obsolete level. I know that the MFLA will go scot-free after so many things has seen to have exchanged hands. The FCC is always after some people for their own share of the loot. The killings in Anambra State has become a thorn in our flesh as our governor has failed to hear to, the call for community vigilance service. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Your message is not complete, but still, thank you so much for joining us, Honorable Onyedika Osakwe. And at this junction, this is the spot where we call it a day on this particular edition of Newspaper Headlines on Airborne 103.5 FM. Remember, it comes your way weekdays in the morning. Once is 7 o'clock, so keep a date and don't touch the dial of Airborne 103.5 FM. Once is 8:20, we'll be back with Bid the Splash. Until we meet again, I am Martin. Have a wonderful morning.
Nabagoa production. Police vigilante. My business. When I will tell you, SJ radio drama, Erico. AJ radio drama, Erico, Ghana Dialogue every Monday, 8 o'clock p.m. with a repeat broadcast on Saturday, 3 o'clock p.m. Now, upon 103.5 FM. If you move and finish your business,
Amara mi le wa di la mo. Ụbọchị m na-aga n'obodo ndị anụ akụ na ya na-erikọ n'ahịa. Nke ka dịkwa nke bụ na ana m ahụzikwu n'ahịa ma ọ bụrụ eziokwu.
Ekwekwala ka akọlụ dị nke a akọlụ. Hello.
of people complain about not using their talents the way they want to. Utilize this opportunity today. Are you an aspiring actor, musician, dancer? Here is the opportunity you have been waiting for. Register with Babula Production at Ebona the 103.5 FM today to make your God-given gift money-making venture using your God-given gift today. For more information, call 080-3916-7049. Don't miss out on this opportunity.
How best can we talk about the challenges we are having on our streets, our community, our society in general? Street report. If we do not address these challenges on Ebonadi FM, who will? As the happenings around us get as complicated as they can be, Street Report is here to make sense of it all. Street Report is causing social change across your streets, in your community. Street Report is here with hardcore journalism to get to the roots of our problem. Why don't you join me, Martin Ifanyu, as our number the first every Friday, 4:30 p.m. on Epona 103.5 FM as Street Reports unfolds in your face. On Emas and Epona the corner 24/7, 24/7.
Biko nwanne m bịakene ka m jụọ gị, kedu ebe m ga-enweta ezigbo MC maka mmemme a na-akwado?
Ị ka ma ajụ kpọọ Shaka the latest MC in town ka occasion gị anwa bụrụ ịgba. Ị na-achọ ezigbo MC go child dedication go ime